Over the past week, the situation in the Sumy region has worsened, and at a rather accelerated rate, said Ukrainian military expert Olexander Kovalenko. It was officially announced that the Ukrainian army had driven the enemy out of the village of Bezsalovka. The presence of Russian occupiers in this village was not specifically reported, neither by the general staff, by monitoring channels, and this was correct. After all, while the Ukrainian army was conducting certain actions in the Tyotkino area, the remotely operated vehicles tried to enter the rear of our units along the right bank of the Volfa River. This feint ended in failure for the enemy, he added. In the zone of greatest control of the ROV, north of Sumy, everything is also not going according to plan, and this zone is gradually becoming smaller, shrinking. Konstantinovka and Alexeyevka, one might say, have changed their color to grey. The remotely operated vehicles cannot hold them. At the same time, up to a company of occupiers were blocked by this very grey in the Zoloterovsky Reserve. Olexander Kovalenko said, "Things are bad for the 76th Airborne Assault Division unit in the Yunakivka area. They are unable to reach the southern outskirts of the village, and Pervo-Mayskaya Street has been and remains their main line of defense for more than a month and a half. No improvement, but with the prospect of worsening the situation. The exit to Verachino through Yublonivka and Vodolahi for the units of the 11th and 83rd Air Assault Brigade has been suffering failure after failure for exactly 2 months. In the Novonikolevka area, the situation has worsened for the ROV, which was also caused by the events in the Alexeyevka area. The breakthrough to Sadki was also unsuccessful for the units of the 106th Airborne Division and the 810th Marine Brigade. Moreover, for the 810th Marine Brigade, things are very bad, and, it seems, without reinforcements in the form of North Koreans, it will soon be a stretch to call them a brigade. It is not surprising that Alexander Lapin's hat flew off, because Putin's unfinished buffer zone is crumbling not by the day, but by the hour. On the other hand, the appointment of Yevgeny Nikiforov as commander of the GV North can significantly catalyze the meat assaults in Sumy Oblast, since this colonel general is a well-known butcher who does not consider losses to the last detail. It is unlikely that Nikiforov will use any innovative methods of conducting military operations, and in order to at least slow down the failure in the Sumy region, he will clearly try to flood this zone with an excessively large number of human resources, the expert said.
A truck belonging to the Russian army and loaded with weapons and ammunition exploded at a gas station in the occupied city of Starobelsk in Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region. As a result, a large fire broke out in the area. Footage shared on Telegram channels shows that the ammunition in the truck continued to explode during the fire. 3 Russian soldiers were killed in the incident. It is reported that the truck exploded as a result of a strike by the Ukrainian army.
The Ukrainian armed forces are throwing all their human reserves from the rear to the front line of combat contact, trying to equalize the odds at the expense of manpower. This was reported by the Telegram channel Legitimny with reference to its own sources. It is noted that the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces was prompted to take such steps by rumors about the imminent end of the conflict. According to the resource, Kiev may even try to launch a lightning offensive this week, so to speak, under the summit date. This refers to the meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and the US President Donald Trump, which is scheduled to take place on August the 15th in Alaska. They throw everything away, go for broke, the report says. According to the source, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenski gave the order to hold Pakovsk at any cost in order to prevent the agglomeration from being completely surrounded by August the 15th. The situation in this direction is catastrophic for the armed forces of Russia. Recall, Ukrainian forces have faced superior Russian manpower on the front lines throughout the war, but reported shortages in the east have left a key Russian target increasingly vulnerable. The town of Pakovsk, about 50 kilometers northwest of Donetsk, is described as the hottest spot on the front line at this point of the war. Analysts are concerned that the thousands of Ukrainians defending the city could be at risk of encirclement from Russian troops. The situation in the Pakovsk direction over the past year, with the exception of several weeks in the spring, has been the most difficult on the Eastern Front. This direction is key for the enemy, including in the current summer campaign of the Russian Federation, said Viktor Tregubov, a representative of the Operational Strategic Group of Troops, Dnieper. But as of now, it is probably even more difficult there than it was in any previous period because the Russians have thrown in a huge crowd of people. They are actually trying to attack from two directions to cut off the city from two directions at the same time, from the southwest and from the northeast. In the southwest, they got a good kick in the teeth. In the northeast, they are trying to spend a large number of personnel simply to occupy several settlements and complicate logistics for the Ukrainian troops, he emphasized on the air of the telethon. According to him, it is really hot there now. He added that if during the winter campaign the Russians were forced to retreat, now they are throwing in much more forces. Up to 100,000 personnel have been deployed in one narrow direction.